We'll start with Clostridium. So this is the case scenario given in one of your exams, AIMS previous year question paper. A person developed trismus following injury followed by difficulty in swallowing. Tissue sample was collected from the necrotic lesion. On gram staining, it revealed gram-positive bacilli with terminal and spherical spores. Okay, so what is your probable diagnosis? So trismus is your lockjaw. I will show you the picture how it looks. The patient with trismus looks, and patient develops difficulty in swallowing, and it's showing gram-positive bacilli with spherical and terminal spore, which is characteristic feature of Clostridium tetani. So we'll start with Clostridium tetani. So it has two exotoxin, okay? One is tetanolysin and another one is tetanospasmin, which we say tetanus toxin, okay? Tetanolysin, which has hemolytic property, but no role in pathogenesis of tetanus. Tetanospasmin, which is virulence factor, more important virulence factor of Clostridium tetani, which is responsible for neurotoxic activity, and it is plasmic coded, and it can be converted to toxoid, which we use for vaccine preparation by spontaneously or by use of formaldehyde. Okay. We know what is toxoid. Toxin can be converted into toxoid by use of formaldehyde, or you can convert into spontaneously. When toxin loses its toxicity, okay, but it retains its antigenic property. So because of this nature, toxoid is used for vaccine preparation. Now we'll learn how the tetanus toxin acts, what is mechanism of action. So tetanus toxin, which is tetanospasmin, okay, they block the release of inhibitory transmitter. So continuous stimulation will be there, okay, of excitatory transmitter. So they block inhibitor and so it will be constant excited state. So these are the steps. So bind to receptor. Receptor is polysiloganglioside on motor nerve ending, which gets internalized, okay, transported retrograde to GABA and glycine, and prevent presynaptic release of these inhibitory neurotransmitter. So muscle will be in constant contraction. So they are present in soil, okay, and how it get transmitted by contaminated wound or any tissue injury, burn, deep penetrating injury, dental infection, animal bite. In cases of abortions, we can see it. So how the patient, there is triad of this. There are three: trismus, which we have seen in the case, then rhizus sardonicus and opisthotonus. Okay, trismus is lockjaw. Okay, spasm of lower jaw will be there. So patient will be having difficulty in chewing. Then rhizus sardonicus, constant smile will be there on the face. Grin will be there on the face. Okay. Opisthotonus is because of it's a constant stimulation of your muscle. So it will be in spastic condition. So you have seen fixed smile will be there. Eyebrow will be elevated. You can see in the picture. Jaw will be stiff. Okay. Exaggerated. All reflexes will be exaggerated because inhibitory neurotransmitters are inhibited. It will be constant excitation state. Okay. And sore throat, difficulty in swallowing, these all will be present. So childhood immunization is very important. I will discuss the immunization schedule later. So it's gram-positive bacilli with terminal spore. You can see this is the gram-positive. Gram-positive will be your purple wallet, we say. Okay. Gram negative will be your pink in color. So it is gram positive. You can see the structure here at the end, that is your spore, terminal spore. So it is called drumstick appearance. So you see in Clostridium tetani drumstick appearance. So this is culture media. It is an anaerobic organism. So you cannot culture in aerobic culture condition. You need anaerobic culture media. So this is Robertson cooked meat media, which is used for anaerobic culture. You can see there will be meat particle, which gives the anaerobic environment. In blood agar, it shows swarming. So you can see this is the swarming in the blood agar. What is primary immunization, passive and active immunization? Passive, when it's emergency condition, you need to immunize, you will be doing passive immunization. You can give human tetanus immunoglobulin or anti-tetanus serum, which is from horse we derive, okay? So these two can be used for passive immunization. Human tetanus immunoglobulin is used for passive immunization. Then you have active, that is your tetanus toxoid, okay? You can give in a TT form or combine in DPT form, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus together. Or you have pentavalent, which you give along with hepatitis B, DPT plus hepatitis B and Haemophilus influenza B vaccine. Okay, so that is pentavalent, which is now it's commonly used. So you have monovalent, you have combined DPT, you have pentavalent. Adult, if primary immunization is not done in childhood, then you will start with this TB vaccine. So how you give immunization after injury. So depending on how long back patient has taken vaccine, how much is what is the quality of wound, whether it's superficial or it's penetrating, tissue injury has happened. So depending on that, you will give the doses. So this chart, this table shows when it's to be given. So if he has taken within 5 years, okay, and there is no prone condition, it's not penetrating injury, nothing is required. Okay, if it's little deeper also, nothing is required if he has completed within 5 years. If it's taken more than 5 years but less, within 10 years, 1 dose of tetanus toxoid is required. Okay, in both the condition, whether it's no tetanus prone wound or deep wound. If more than 10 years, 1 dose of tetanus toxoid is needed. Here, 1 dose of tetanus toxoid plus immediate treatment you have to give it, human tetanus immunoglobulin. If it's unknown, patient doesn't remember how long back he has taken, then you have to give the complete dose. Here also complete dose with immunoglobulin you have to give. Okay, now we'll move to another important, botulinum. So if patient present with descending flaccid paralysis and history of blurring of vision is there, and quadriparesis is there, areflexia, pupil is non-reactive. These all gives clue towards botulism, that is toxin produced by Clostridium botulinum. Okay, so it has botulinum toxin is one of the highest poisonous things present in the world. Okay, it has 8 serotype A, B, C1, C2, D, E, F, G. Okay, and it is produced intracellularly. Most of the toxin is excreted outside, but it is produced intracellularly. So how they act? Okay, it blocks the release of acetylcholine. So blocks the muscle contraction. Contraction doesn't happen because it's blocking the acetylcholine. Okay. So toxin through bloodstream or mucosal surface, because we get through, there are different type, which I will tell you. So it can enter directly through bloodstream or through GIT tract or through wound. It binds to peripheral cholinergic nervous system. It doesn't goes to CNS, doesn't go to CNS. It goes to peripheral nervous system, and transport gets stimulatory motor nerve ending and inhibit the release of acetylcholine, which results in muscle weakness and flaccid paralysis. Okay. So how the patient present? Triad is, okay, patient will have these all features of paralysis, flaccid paralysis. Patient will have double vision, diplopia, dysarthria, difficulty in speech, dysphonia, difficulty in voice production, dysphasia, difficulty in swelling. So these 4 Ds will be there: diplopia, dysarthria, dysphonia, dysphasia. Patient won't be having any fever. There are no fever present in botulinum toxin, and cognitive function will be intact. So patient will have symmetrical descending paralysis. Okay. Then respiratory muscle will be involved, and then lower limb will be involved. Okay. And these all features will be there. Patient will be afebrile, cognitive function will be intact. Okay. So it can be foodborne, it can be through wound, it can be infant botulism, which we say mainly get transmitted through eating of honey in a pediatric age group. And it leads to floppy baby syndrome. Muscle tone is lost. Okay, coming to third, Clostridium difficile. Very important question you get in MCQs. Plenty of MCQs comes from this. Who all are the risk factor for Clostridium difficile? So either long use of antibiotic, elder age group, weakened immune system, longer time of stay in the hospital, and patient has previous history. So which is the most important antibiotic involved in this is your ceftriaxone, cephalosporin, apart from clindamycin, ampicillin, ciprofloxacin. It leads to pseudomembranous colitis. What is the treatment of choice for pseudomembranous colitis is vancomycin and metronidazole. Okay. Now Clostridium perfringens. So before going to Clostridium perfringens, we'll just see these images. Okay. So you have Clostridium tetani spore, Clostridium tertium spores, you have perfringens spores. So what are the toxins released by Clostridium perfringens? You have major toxins and minor toxins. So major toxin, you have alpha, beta, epsilon and theta. These all are your major toxins. Okay. Then you have minor toxin. Most important is your alpha toxins. Okay, which is phospholipase. It leads to gas gangrene. This is a picture of gas gangrene which patient developed after injury. Okay, what are the diagnostic features? One is target hemolysis. You can see inner zone of hemolysis and outer zone of hemolysis. Inner narrow zone, outer wider zone. Inner hemolysis is because of theta toxin, and outer wider zone is because of alpha toxin. Then you have Nagler reaction. Nagler reaction, because of this alpha toxins, what happens? It causes opacification due to lecithinase activity of alpha toxin. So when you culture the bacteria on egg yolk, agar media, so what happens? It causes opacification. You can see this is the opacification. One half of the plate is having antitoxin. So there is no opacification. Another half which doesn't have antitoxin, you can see the opacification is because of lecithinase activity of alpha toxin. Then you have, this is another picture of Nagler reaction. So you can get in the exam this culture plate and this picture, and it can be asked, what is this reaction or for which organism it is diagnostic feature. Now coming to reverse CAM test. We have seen CAM test, right? In group B streptococcus diagnosis. Now this is reverse CAM test, okay, which is done for Clostridium perfringens, okay. Here you use group B streptococcus and Clostridium difficile, okay, and you get enhanced zone of hemolysis. Okay. When you culture them perpendicular to each other, if enhanced zone is seen, it is reverse CAM test. CAM test, which you have read in group B streptococcus diagnosis, Staphylococcus aureus and group B streptococci was used there. Okay, now coming to bacillus. So person having history of skinning a dead animal and develop a pustule on his hand, and lesions from there showed gram-positive bacilli in long chain. McFadden reaction was positive. So this is a disease of Bacillus anthracis, and it is a zoonotic disease, happens by inhalation of spores from the animal. It is used as a biological weapon. Okay, the spores of Bacillus anthracis can be used as a biological weapon. So it also can be ingested. Okay, other mode of transmission is through ingestion. It has lethal factor, it has edema factor. Okay, so how the cutaneous anthrax looks. You have question on these. What is malignant pustule? So you can get a picture of this, and it's been asked, what is this? It is a malignant pustule. Similar kind of picture you get. It's a painless vesicle which changes to black necrotic eschar. So necrotic eschar you see in Bacillus anthracis infection. Wool sorter disease, which you see in person walking in a wool industry or animal fur, you get a hemorrhagic pneumonia. So what is McFadden reaction, which is given in the question? So you use polychrome methylene blue staining, where you see blue color bacilli and purple color capsule. So we know Bacillus anthracis is a capsulated organism, and capsule is polypeptide in nature. Okay, when you culture on blood agar, you get medusa head appearance. So this is called medusa head appearance. Gelatin stab culture, when you do for diagnosis, you get inverted Fortey appearance. Please see these pictures properly, because now you get a picture-based question. So these all picture can be put and can be asked, what is this reaction and for use for which organism? So this is inverted Fortey appearance. And it can give string of pearl appearance on its selective media, which is a solid media with penicillin, which we use for Bacillus anthracis. Ascoli's thermoprecipitating test is a type of precipitation reaction which we do for Bacillus anthracis diagnosis. What is anthracoid bacilli? Which is motile and produces hemolytic colony, and it is slightly different from your Bacillus anthracis. So Bacillus cereus and other comes under this group. They are considered to be lab contaminant. Okay. Bacillus cereus, which has diarrhenic and emetic form. Diarrhenic, which causes diarrhea in 18 to 16 hours, and this emetic form less than 6 hours. It shows all manifestation, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea will be present. And mainly we see in the person consuming fried rice and noodles and all. So you get a history of fried rice eating. The diarrheal form is because of meat and sauces and milk items. Corynebacterium diphtheriae, very important topic. So you can see patch in the throat. Patch in the throat is Corynebacterium diphtheriae. This is a gram staining picture where you see the club-shaped bacilli. This is Albert stain, which shows green color bacilli and blue-black metachromatic granule. Metachromatic granule is storage granule of the bacteria. Okay. And arrangement is V and L shape. Please remember, V and L shaped we see in Corynebacterium diphtheriae because they're plane of division. Okay. So how this toxin act? B is for binding, you can see in the picture. A is the active component which inactivates the elongation factor 2, which is needed for protein synthesis. So protein synthesis gets inhibited. So we have pharyngeal diphtheria, most common form of diphtheria, where you can see membrane, pseudomembrane formation, okay, and fever, lymphadenitis, and difficulty in breathing and all can happen. Then you have cutaneous diphtheria. Systemic diphtheria is present with myocarditis, peripheral neuropathy. So these three types of diphtheria you have. So phausal diphtheria, this is your pseudomembrane formation. You can see pseudomembrane is nothing but fibrin, neutrophil and bacteria together is formed pseudomembrane, which can be sent for culture purpose. Or bull neck appearance you see because of tonsillar swelling and neck edema. So how you diagnose? You need enriched media for this. You have blood agar, you have Loeffler serum slope. So this is your Loeffler serum slope where you get the faster growth in 6 to 8 hours, and metachromatic granule formation will be very good in Loeffler serum slope. It is the enriched media for Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Okay, other selective media you have potassium tellurite agar where you see black color colony because tellurite is reduced to metallic tellurium. Then sugar fermentation, you have to use his serum sugar. So you have toxin demonstration by in vivo test, in vitro test. So most important you get in an exam is your LX shell precipitation, which we do for Corynebacterium diphtheriae toxin demonstration. Okay. So where the toxin and antitoxin meets, you get an arrow-shaped precipitation band. Thank you.
Best training, peaceful environment, PG medical entrance exam preparation were my expectations. I got them at Speed Medical Village in Kanchipuram. Today, I am a PG topper.
Speed Medical Village, a unique eco-friendly campus dedicated for PG preparation. Speed Medical Institute, a complete solution for medical education.